The story of the Commodore Amiga in Pixels was a Kickstarter that successfully funded on July 11, 2016, with 1,422 backers pledging £60,890. This book was written in a collaboration between Chris Wilkins and Roger M. Keane. At 296 pages, the book is available as both a hardback and a paperback. The Kickstarter was modeled after the previous successful Kickstarter for the story of the Commodore 64 in Pixels, which was also written by Chris Wilkins. This book covers the history of the Amiga, its creatives, graphics, artists, musicians, programmers, and video games via images, articles, vintage advertisements, and music. As with most Kickstarters, there were varying levels of pledges and there were stretch goals. I pledged at the level that would grant me a hardcover of the book, the Sensible Soccer canvas, my name in the book, and a copy of the PDF version of the book. At the £25 level, each book shipped with an I Love Amiga badge, an I Love Amiga pin, and a music CD, Amiga Works, by David Whittaker. Additional levels and stretch goals included a signed postcard pack, Starquake video game ported to Amiga, and a launch copy of Retro Now magazine. Chris really put together a nice Kickstarter with many perks and rewards in order to fund this project. Having recently received my copy of the book about a month ago, I was excited to confirm it has the same level of detail and masterfulness as the story of the Commodore 64 in Pixels book which preceded it. I mean, this is a gorgeous book with tons of articles and photographs. Unfortunately, growing up, I never did own an Amiga, but I was drawn to this book because of how nice the Commodore 64 in Pixels book turned out, and since I had a general interest in the Amiga. This book does not disappoint. I'm impressed with how well put together it is. Check out the craftsmanship here. There are so many articles in the book and a whole lot of images which bring back many memories. I had heard of many of the games covered in the book from the various PC versions. Also included was a copy of a brand new music CD, Amiga Works, by David Whittaker. It contains 10 retro-style tracks, which are all remixes of original Amiga music. Just a couple of days ago, Chris Wilkins sent out the link to download the digital version of the CD, which I have been checking out. It sounds great. The album artwork was done by Trevor Story. Also, you cannot discount the I Heart Amiga badge and pin which were included. It's a nice touch. Overall, I couldn't be more pleased with this Kickstarter. You can now order this book as well as the other books he has for sale on the Fusion Retro Books website. It's £24.99 for the paperback and £30 for the hardback at www.fusionretrobooks.com. Quoting from the website, "We pride ourselves in including memoirs from the developers, artists, and musicians within each and every one of our books, thus giving the reader a personal insight into what it was like developing games on the 80s and 90s consoles and computers." I'm assuming the same attention to detail and level of quality are present in all of these books. There is a nice write-up on the book over at the Indie Retro News website. The History of the Amiga in Pixels is a great book even if you never owned an Amiga like me. Highly recommended.